So again, good evening, everyone, those in the hall and those online. If those online want to not unvideo, start your video. It'd be nice to see you. Nice for us to see each other. So again, we're just sort of have these 2 weeks in between things, and thought I'd put into good use to talk about our ancestor. You know, those of us who practice in the tradition, the lineage of Thich Nhat Hanh. Thai was of the 42nd generation from Master Linji. So we are, depending on our relationship to him, could be the 43rd, the 44th generation. But anyhow, he is our spiritual ancestor, and the tradition of Linji, also very much permeated Thai's teaching in certain ways. Again, as I probably said last week, he's most known for his mindfulness and all his innovative ways of making the Buddha Dharma and Zen very accessible and understandable to the modern generation. But he was also deeply steeped in the Zen traditions. And of those who are interested, one of his earliest books, Zen Keys, really gives you a flavor of his understanding of Zen. And then this book called Zen Battles, which is his it's actually, he translated from the Chinese into the Vietnamese. It's called The Record of Linji. And then one of the sisters translated it from the Vietnamese into English. So there is a translation of the various talks of Linji. It's not very long, The Record of Linji. But also there's his commentary. And so it's very interesting because, Thai has a reputation of just being this incredibly gentle, soft, which he definitely was, kind, sweet figure. But you'll see in his commentary, he's quite supportive of the more dynamic and direct ways, we call them ways, that Zen had of really trying to wake people up. And so Linji, who also, as you can see, we'll talk, also was able to speak in complete sentences, just not enigmatic little phases, or not just shouts, or he didn't just go around hitting people all the time. And yet he did use these very abrupt methods. Again, I call them methods. And they're also used in the Great Perfection Dzogchen tradition to disrupt, you see. We're all caught in this ongoing, endlessly ongoing narrative of self and the whole world that is fabricated by thought that we are totally lost in and believe is reality. And so just using thoughts, or reading, or talking, or thinking about, often just gets incorporated into that whole ongoing kind of fabricated world that we have created with our own thinking minds. So what you see in somebody like Master Linji, and I think the use of these more abrupt methods in Zen goes back a generation or two before him, I believe, in the early stages of Chan Zen in China. He's very well known for it. But again, if you think it's because he gets angry at people, you're totally missing the point. And Thai's commentary explained that. He's trying to break people out of their conceptualizations. And just in that momentary stillness, the abruptness of the shout or the hit, just to stop so there's an opening. And in that opening, the ability to directly see the true nature of reality in the mind does become possible. For some, not for all. And so most of the masters who use the shouts and the hits, use them judiciously. It's also, especially if you read Linji and these other masters, to understand that Zen, as this very direct path focusing on, directly seen into the nature of the mind, developed within the context of people who had studied Buddhism and had practiced Buddhism in a traditional way for a long time. I mean, many of his students were monks and nuns, and there were lay people, all students. If you read about Linji's life, he spent many years as a young monk studying the Dharma, right? So it's not as if that the study is not essential, but it's not capable of really bringing us face to face with the truth of reality. And so that really was, I know this is not the right term, and I'm not sure what it meant. There used to be these schools called finishing schools. Finishing schools were what? What were they finishing? Etiquette or something, but they must have been finishing something. But anyhow, so they were sort of like finishing schools, where after you had learned, the Buddha Dharma and the sutras and the Abhidhamma, after you had kind of been through a lot of the rituals and a lot of the other aspects of Buddhist practice, then you would enter a Zen monastery, a Zen temple, to study with a Zen master, to have a breakthrough out of your conceptualization. So that's a little about Master Linji, and you're talking about the 8th century, 9th century. And again, I believe my talk from last week is recorded. So I will continue. Again, I'm just picking and choosing. Again, the whole thing only is about I think less than of his actual writings are about 80. Just in about 76 pages here, so it's even less than that, maybe 50 pages. So again, the record of Rinzai is not extensive. So this is again from the Zen Battles. One day the Zen master, Linji, came into the Dharma hall and said, "On this lump of red flesh is a real person of no position who comes in and out right before your face. Whoever has not seen that person should look carefully. Have a good look." Have a good look. At that point, a monk came up and asked, and that was very tradition in the Zen temples. The master would ascend the throne or take the chair or whatever, and then people would come up and ask him questions, as opposed to, sometimes they would give talks, but sometimes they would just respond to questions. It was very traditional for somebody to come up and present themselves before the teacher. At that point, a monk came up and asked, "What is that real person of no position?" Good question. Close your eyes a second. How would you answer the monk? He originally says, "On this lump of red flesh is a real person of no position who comes in and out right before your face. Whoever has not seen that person should look carefully. Have a good look." And then the monk comes up to him and says, "What is that real person of no position?" How would you answer that? This lump of red flesh, of course, is our physical body. He calls it just a lump of red flesh. He said, "On this lump of red flesh is a real person of no position." And that no position could have different meanings. Sometimes it's translated as a person of no rank. So in Chinese Confucian society, everybody had a rank, right? It was very much part of the society. So he's saying your true self has no rank, which means it has no marks. There's nothing to distinguish it. Okay? And it comes and goes right before our very face. So it's not hidden, it's not esoteric, it's totally manifesting right before our eyes. Whoever's not seen that person, look carefully, have a good look. Then a monk comes up and says, what is the real person of no position? Now, these old Chan people were very sneaky. So we're not sure, right, whether this monk really had a question, right? And it was always a little dangerous to, approach a Zen master in those days. So we're not sure if he really had a question or if he was testing the teacher to see what he would say. See, we don't know, because they would. That's why Zen battles. When I was at the Zen Center, they used to call it Dharma combat. But there is this idea that people test each other, right? Test their understanding, challenge each other. Right? So we don't know, right? But we know that a monk comes up and says, "What is that real person of no position?" So you know what you would do. So let's see what Linji does. He comes down for the meditation platform, takes hold of the monk. In many things, he grabs him by the scruff of his neck, just grabs him, and says, "Speak, speak. What is that real person with no position?" So he turns it around. Very much what we do, don't we? We're always asking questions and wanting the teacher or somebody else to give us the answer. Right? But in Zen, the teacher's trying to wake the student up. And so rather than giving him an explanation or, showing his true face, which he's already said when he came in, who comes and go is right here, he's already told him it's right here, it's right before your face. Have a good look. So he's already told him, it's right here, just look. But you know how people are, they're lost in their thoughts. So the guy comes up and says, "What'd you say? Where is it?" So it's quite dramatic. So rather than giving him an answer, an intellectual discussion, or sharing something, he just comes down and he grabs him. Very abruptly. You can imagine, you're a little startled. He just comes down. Just imagine it happened to you. He comes down, just grabs you by the thing and says, "Speak, speak. What is that real person with no position?" So the speak is like the shout, is like the stick. It's like, give me an immediate response that's not mediated by thought. Just speak. We talk about, a person, a true person, or knowing who you truly are. Last time we spent a lot of time with a lot of Linjis, knowing who you truly are, having confidence in who you are at a deep level, not your thoughts and not your identities, but at a more deeper level, who you are. And so when he grabs him and he kind of shakes him, he's trying to get him, speak from that place. Say something. Spontaneous. Right? Break through all your conditioning and all your sense of what's the right thing to say and what's the wrong thing to say and what really expresses my true nature and what really doesn't express my true nature. See, if you're thinking all these things, you're not there yet, are you? So he comes down, he says, "Speak, speak. What is that real person of no position?" Who are you? That's another way, as we say, who are you? Tell me who you are right now. Show me who you are right now. The monk was perplexed. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. So the monk was perplexed. So the master let go of him and said, the real person with no position is no more than dry excrement on a stick. In other words, known as a shit stick. And again, without getting too coarse, these days we have something called toilet paper, you know that. The Chinese didn't have that. They had sticks that they used to clean themselves, which is very interesting because, again, he's trying. Who knows what he's really saying here? This is the 8th century. We're now the 21st, so we're talking, 1,300 years later. This was not video recorded. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody wrote this down immediately. So who knows, what really happened. But we know, so a real person with no position, without any rank, and so if you thought about what in usual dualistic thinking, probably in that culture, what is the dirtiest thing, the most unclean thing, right? It would be a stick you use to wipe yourself, right? And so, again, this is very much the earthy quality of Zen, to use an example like that to say that this true mind of ours is no different than anything that is dirty, clean, unclean, pure, that it has nothing to do with that, you see. And so oftentimes they would use these kinds of words, such as a shit stick, just to break us out of this very traditional way of, there's the sacred, there's the profane. There's the clean, there's the dirty. There's the high, there's the low, right? Which is all just a dualistic mind has fabricated all these distinctions. And part of the training is to break out of that, to see everything as fundamentally equal. Everything is fundamentally the same. Right? And so they would use these kinds of strong language, or strong images, just to break our attachment to high and low, sacred, profane, clean, dirty, Buddha up on the altar, true nature, our true nature exists in some kind of heavenly realm, and you know what I mean, and when we get there, we'll be in some kind of heavenly realm. No, we'll still be going to the bathroom. We'll still be defecating. We'll still be wiping ourselves. And yet, there is a part of us that can participate in all of that and has nothing to do with clean or dirty, high or low. As he said in the beginning, on this lump of red flesh, our bodies, is a real person of no position, no rank, who comes in and out right before our very eyes. So what is it that comes in and out right before our very eyes? Life. Life is always unfolding right before our very eyes. Sounds are unfolding right before our very ears. Smells, tastes, sensations in the body, movements of thought, they're all just unfolding right before our eyes. And yet, because we don't see clearly what's going on, we see in a distorted way, we cannot see the innate purity or emptiness, or whatever you want to call it, of this unfolding. So anyhow, masters are trying to wake us up. They're doing their best, and Linji was doing his best. Going a little further. Most of those who study the path of Buddhism in our own time, this is the 8th century, do not understand the Dharma. So I think this is very interesting. We look at these times of Chan, the 8th, 9th century, the Tang, as kind of the high point. All these great masters are alive. And look what he says. Most of those who study the path of Buddhism in our own time do not understand the Dharma. So if there are some of you who might despair that in our own time there are very few people who truly understand the Dharma, we see that Linji also had the same concern back in the 8th century. So maybe somehow this is always. He says, they are like goats who eat whatever is given them. They cannot distinguish master from servant, guest from host. So again, a goat is an animal, it's hungry, and goats are very, what would you say about a goat? Don't they sort of eat everything? They just like it. What? They'll sort of whatever they're great to, they'll just clean up everything, right? So he's saying, that's the way Dharma students are. They'll just, whatever they're given, they'll just read it and they'll study it and they'll do it, But they cannot distinguish master from servant, guest from host. And again, this is now talking about the mind. And these are terms, who is the master and who is the servant? So you might ask yourself, am I the master? Actually, I used the word mastery somewhere, and some woman who's very attuned to these things these days said, you can't use that term anymore. So I had to find another term, master, right? I forget what term I came up with. But this is Thai's translation, and it was translated by a nun. But you understand. So the master, and master also has master slave, master servant. So I know it has all kinds of connotation, but it also means a higher and lower. So again, who's the master? Who's in charge? Who's giving the orders? This is a very important question. Just close your eyes. In your own life, is the dog wagging the tail, or is the tail wagging the dog? Are our thoughts and our ideas and our emotional reactivity and what drives us as we go through the day? Am I the master? The mistress, I'm not sure what the word would be, but you understand, of my mind, of my life, of my responses. Is there somebody home who's in charge? Or are the servants running amok? And so that's an interesting question. The other term he used, they can't distinguish mass. So they say people can't even distinguish what our true mind is, who we really are, and all our conditioning, all our thoughts, all our feelings, all the things we've inherited from our parents and our grandparents and all the conditioning and all the stuff, Can we really distinguish our essential mind from all this conditioned stuff? And the other term, that we use a lot is host and guest. The host is the one who stays, your fundamental mind awareness, your fundamental Buddha mind, your true person of no rank, the one who always stays, and all these thoughts and feelings and perceptions and responses and sights and sounds, these endlessly coming and goings, these are the guests. But if you can't distinguish who's the host and who's the guest, and you spend your day just chasing the guests around all over the hotel, and not knowing who the host is, who the one who stays. Guests come and go. The host is always here. if I don't sit in the place of host, and if I am always just see myself as just this endlessly intransient guest in my own world, taken this way and that way by people and conditions and situations and my own inner thoughts and feelings, and this is what's constantly, driving us about. You see, there's no fundamental host. There's nobody home minding the shop. How about that? Is there anybody home minding the shop within my own life? Another way to say it, am I in the driver's seat of my life? Or am I just the passenger of my conditioning? Am I just the passenger of everybody around me in the world and, what I read in the news today? You know what I mean? I mean, who's in charge here? Is there any ground? Is there any stability? Is there any sense of, who I am? And it's funny, if those of you who've been listening to my talks the last couple of times I've been in the Dharma Hall on Sunday and read from Fragrant Palm Leaves, that wonderful selection from Thay's journals from the early 60s, you'll see that's what he was looking at. I mean, he was trying to discover who he really was, breaking out of his conditioning, his societal conditioning, and his personal conditioning, and just trying to find out, who am I? So again, don't just make it like a kind of spiritual Buddhist thing. It's who am I? In Zen there's the koan, who was I before my parents were born? Which again is saying, before I became conditioned, before I had a name, before I had sex, before I had, sex meaning male, female, before I had any of those things, before I had identity, before I had ideas, before I had likes and dislikes, and who am I? See, this is the most fundamental question, and this is really what fundamentally Zen and Dzogchen are about, and Thai talks about coming home. That's what he's talking about. I mean, coming home to our body breath is a way of grounding ourselves, but our body and breath is not our true home. I mean, our experience in our bodies are very limited. Our true home is our true mind. So he says, they are like goats who eat whatever is given them. They cannot distinguish master from servant, guest from host. People like that enter on the path of practice with the wrong motivation. They are always ready to enter places of noise and disturbance. So then he says you cannot call them true monks, but he's teaching in a monastery, but we might say, for us who are lay people, but those of you who are listening to this talk, obviously have a deeper motivation in your practice that goes beyond just simply learning, the Dharma, which is very helpful and meaningful and has lots of possibilities for healing and transformation. But for those who enter the Dharma at the level that Linji is encouraging us, really to know who and what we are, he says, we enter the path with the wrong motivation because we're still always ready to enter places of noise and disturbance. Right? You understand what that is? Just close your eyes, everybody. What does that mean to you? Where are all these places that we enter all the time as lay people? Noise and disturbance, right? Noise means noise. You understand noise, noisy. And disturbance means just lots going on. Do we spend much of our life even though, like he says, we say we have an aspiration, and yet we're always mostly just entering places of noise and disturbances. So he says you cannot call these people true monks. They are in fact worldly people, like us. So we're worldly people who want to become more like, what Linji is encouraging us to be. So that's our challenge. In a certain sense, monks who really live the advantages, that life gives them, have the opportunity of living a life where they are kind of have left the world of noise and disturbances. But those of us who sort of as lay people live in the world of noise and disturbances, and if we don't, or certainly oftentimes our family, our friends, our neighbors, the people we work with live in that world, we have to be even more motivated, don't we, to carve out that time so we don't get over caught up in the world of noise and disturbances. True monks must have the right view in their daily life, which is the ability to distinguish Buddha from Mara, true from false, sacred from profane. Only when people have this ability can they be called true renunciants of household life. So again, and we're going to talk a little bit about Buddha and Mara in a second. So what is he saying? So, for those of us who live in the world, right, of noise and disturbances, we have to have right view. We have to, if we're entering in the world, we have to have the view that really clarifies the true from the false, right? The sacred from the profane, the wholesome from the unwholesome, the beneficial from the non-beneficial, right? So that's something we have to have in ourselves because there are no signs out here, in this world we have, everything is offered to us, right? Everything is offered. We're always encouraged to consume, to get involved, to do things, right? Go to this and go to that and attend this. What's going on this weekend, right? If you look in the paper, what's going on this weekend? And how many things are going on most weekends? 10, 20, 30. I mean, those are the ones they just list. But, there's all kinds of venues, all kinds of things that are always going on. So there's always things going on, right? And that's not even talking about all the things that go on that we can access at home. Through our computers, through our smart TVs, through our, what I mean? It's an endless opportunity. There's really very little constraints these days as individuals, right? The whole field is wide open. In an overwhelming way, it's wide open. So, he doesn't even have an idea what we're dealing with. And yet, I think the fundamental truth he's saying, which is, the only way that we can find our way through this is to have right view. Distinguish Buddha from Mara, true from false, sacred from profane, the weak from the chaff. Only when people have this ability can they be called true renouncers of household life. So again, I think you all know this, but, we have to be reminded of this because no one is reminding us. Right? If anything, the world, the people around the world, worldly people, are encouraging us what? To enter the world of noise and disturbance. Right? To enter the world of drama. Everybody's got dramas, and enter the world of dramas. Right? I looked at the news earlier, even in the Capitol today, right? In the House of Representatives or something, what are they up to? Drama. Every day, just a new drama. It's ridiculous. Nothing of any substance or meaning, just more and more and more drama. And it's reported as news, right? Noise and disturbance, as Master Linji would say. So somebody asked Linji, what is the Buddha and what is Mara? Okay. Now, traditionally, the Buddha and the Mara are usually considered opposites. Okay. Mara, the Buddha is representative of enlightenment, awakening, right? Full knowing, full knowledge, the whole pantheon of awakened life. And Mara is delusion. Right? Mara is all the force of delusion, of greed, of anger, of stupidity, of all the of noise and disturbance. That's Mara's realm, and he loves it. So usually they're considered, it's sort of like like God and the devil. Would that be right? Sort of, there's God, and then there's the devil, So in a certain way in Buddhism, you have the Buddha and you have Mara. Mara is always, it was Mara, remember, under the Bodhi tree. It was Mara who tried to, get the Buddha, not to continue his meditation, and he used all different kinds of ways to try to, the forces of delusion, we might say, is Mara, and the Buddha is the fourth of enlightenment. So the Master replies, and again, this is his own take. He says, if there remains in your mind a single notion of doubt, that is Mara. So very interesting. Do you remember last week he asked the rhetorical question, why is it that students of the way can't, these days don't receive the fruits of practice? And he said it's because they lack confidence. Right? They're just turned around by everyone else. They lack true confidence in themselves, the virtue of self-confidence. And now he says that doubt is that force in the mind that will undercut our capacity to know in this life. And again, that doubt could be what he was talking about last time, right? That doubt could be doubting your own capacity to wake up, doubting your own capacity to see what's right before your eyes. You'd think, wow, that's the easiest thing in the world, right? Just to stop living in conceptualization and just see directly what's going on right before my very eyes, right? Just to live totally in clarity of the present moment, total presence, total awareness, just as it is. What could be easier than that? Right? But what kills that? Doubt. Ooh, too hard. Or not, I can't do it. Right? So we doubt our capacity, lack of self-confidence. Or, perhaps, the other doubt, which is Mara, is, we doubt the truth of the teachings. We doubt the truth of the Buddha. We doubt the truth of all the teachers who are all telling us it's right here. Everyone has this pure nature. It is undefiled. Nothing has ever touched it. No matter what you've done in your life, what happens, it is beyond all that. It is fresh and pure and uncontaminated, and it is right here, and you have the capacity of seeing it and realizing it and living from it right now. And we hear that, and then we turn the page. We don't really stop and reflect. What am I being told? We talk about refuge. We take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. But oftentimes that really means I place my trust, I place my confidence in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha has my own awakened mind. I trust that. I believe it's right here. I can trust it. I can live from it. I trust the Dharma. I trust the teachings and the path, even the path of the shout and the things, to help wake, that's going to help wake me up. I trust that. I trust the community of practitioners. If there remains in your mind a single notion of doubt, this is Mara. Now again, This is not, I mean, again, I'm just reading these. But if it strikes home to you, it's sort of like you put a bookmark in there. Put a bookmark in your mind and go, have I really cultivated the virtue of self-confidence, trust in myself? Or am I still turned around by my conditioning or other people? Right? Do I really, am I really under the force of the devil, i.e. Mara, doubting myself? Remember? That's what Mara whispered in the Buddha's ear, if you remember the accounts. First he tried to seduce him. Remember, he sent all his beautiful daughters, to seduce him, which really represents, pleasure. Come on. What are you, sitting here under a tree? It's cold, it's rainy. Come, have pleasure. Come enjoy the worldly pleasures. Why work so hard, right? Right. So we all know we're seduced by the world of pleasure, the world of enjoyment, right? And then when that didn't work, he tried a few other things. He tried to scare him. Remember that? He shoots those arrows at him. He got all his wrathful, got all of his other devils and demons, to come and try to scare the Buddha. Buddha wasn't scared. But then he tried doubt. Kind of whispered in your ear, who do you think you are that you can become a Buddha? What, are you crazy? You? Siddhartha? Who do you think you are? I mean, so this is, this goes back to the time of the Buddha, and it's, it's considered one of the 5 poisons, doubt, in the Buddhist path, and especially for people on the meditative path. So then he says, if you arrive at understanding the unborn nature of all that is, and know that the mind is a magic show, that there is no object, no phenomena that has a real existence, then wherever you are, there is purity. And that purity is the Buddha. So this is very straight ahead. The mind is a magic show. Right now, this whole experience we're all having, I'm having, you're having, is all arising in the mind. Right? Right now, all that's happening is in your mind. You are seeing, hearing, maybe the other sensory organs are going on, thoughts are appearing and disappearing, right? He calls that the mind's magic show. Anybody ever been to a magic show? Why do they call it a magic show? It's not real, right? I mean, these are very meaningful metaphors, right? You go to a good magic show and things seem to be happening. People are flying around in the air and people are being cut in half and, right? You know what I mean? And people are appearing and disappearing and rabbits are appearing out of hats and, right? And people are pulling, eggs out of people's ears. And, ever been to a good magic show? I mean, and it looks real, doesn't it? Right? I mean, we're going, right? And yet, none of it's real, right? It's a magic show. It's all just make-believe. The hand is quicker than the eye and all that kind of stuff. None of it has any reality to it. It's a magic show. So he's saying everything that's appearing in our mind, all our experiences, are just the same. They have no substance. They have no permanence. There's nothing there. How do we know that? You've heard me say it many times. I'll continue to say it just because it's true. Everything that has ever happened to you in your life, where is it? Right? Your great successes, your great losses, your great happinesses, your great sadnesses, everything, the good, the bad. Where is that all? Does anybody know? A magic show. I mean, we've been going for almost an hour. Every word that's been spoken so far, every thought you've had, every reaction you've had, where is it all? Gone. We're all just participating in this magic show. Right? And yet, when you're in a magic show, you don't sit there going, just a magic show. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's just trying to fool us. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Grumpy, grumpy. No, we don't do that, right? We participate in the magic show, don't we? We ooh and we ah, even though we know it's not real. Right? Right? And yet we go, wow. He just sawed that woman in half. Right? He just pulled an egg out of their ear. Right? There was nothing. You know what I mean? Look, he keeps pulling stuff out of the hat, right? We participate in the magic show, but we know it's not real. Our problem is we participate in this life and all this endless coming and going and up and down of life, and we think it's real. We cling to it, we attach to it, we push it away, we give it all kinds of meaning, we give it all kinds of emotionality. And it just keeps slipping away from us, right? Endlessly slipping away. At some point you go, so then what's really true? What's true? Who is the one, do I want to know all the tricks? Or do I want to know the magician? Do I want to know the magician who does all the tricks? Do I want to know the puppets? Do I want to know the puppeteer who's pulling the strings here? When you're a kid, if you ever used to go to a puppet show when you were a kid, what did you used to do? You go up and talk to the puppets. Thinking they were real, right? We didn't come up and talk to the puppeteer up there or underneath, when they used to hand puppets. We talked to the puppets. But the puppets aren't real. Let's talk to the puppeteer. Let's talk to our true mind, the one out of which all this arises. All this magic show keeps appearing and disappearing. There's something that these things arise and disappear, and endlessly arising, endlessly disappearing, endlessly manifesting. Do we know that, do you see? Do we know the source of it all? No phenomena that has a real existence, then wherever you are, there is purity, and that is Buddha. To see the intrinsic purity of all phenomena, right? Even the shit stick. See, that's even that. Nevertheless, people generally think that the Buddha and Mara are two different worlds, the one pure and the other defiled. Now he goes on to go, as I see things, Buddha is not, living beings are not, the past is not, neither is the present. So he takes it one step beyond. In his world, there are no labels for anything. Right? Mara is a label, is a designation, conceptual designation, a word. Mara, Buddha, clean, dirty. From the point of view of the substance, there's no clean or dirty, there's no Buddha, there's no Mara. Things are just what they are. So Linji is always inviting us to step out of all the world of labeling, all the world of labeling and designation, all the world of conceptualization, all the ways we order and reorder the world according to the millions of categories that we are continually developing and redeveloping, and see things fresh and pure, just as they are. Because everything, when you see it just as it is, without any references at all, everything has its own innate purity of what it is. It's isness. And we have that too. You know, anyhow. And we have that too. As I see things, Buddha is not, living beings are not, the past is not, neither is the present. These are all designations. If you realize the truth, realize it directly. You don't need to take time to realize it. See, this is again very much the Zen. In traditional Buddhism, we cultivate. We cultivate, we train gradually over the decades, over the lifetimes. Gradually we, cleanse ourselves of all our defilements. So eventually we will reach a place of purity. The Buddha's realization that has been transmitted to us in these very direct lineages, such as Zen and the Great Perfection, are different. They say, no, it's right here. It's nothing that you have to gradually get to. It's always here. For example, when you open your eyes in the morning, do you see? I mean, is it a gradual process? You open your eyes and you see. You see because the quality of seeing and the objects that are seen are immediately present to you. There's no gradual, right? When sounds come to our ears, is it a gradual process? Slowly, it's coming slowly, coming. Now it's going. No, sounds are here, words are here, they're just here. And then they're gone. It's not gradual. So he's inviting us, he's saying that these categories we have, and again, in Buddhism we talk about the gradual path, the sudden path, these terms. He's saying in his path, there's none of that. Just open your eyes and see, And that's why they use a lot of these more, abrupt, kind of disruptive kind of things like the shout and the grabbing to kind of disrupt people. Just wake up, look, it's right here. Speak, he says, speak. Just speak. For once in your life, say something that's real, that comes from the deepest part of you. Not from your head, not from your emotionality, not from your reactivity, something deeper. If you realize the truth, you realize it directly. You do not need to take time. You do not need to cultivate. There is no gain and loss. At no other time can there be any other teaching than this. If there were teaching other than this, I would say it was only a dream or magic show. My friends, he's now talking to everybody listening here tonight. My friends, all of you sitting, listening to the Dharma in the present moment. Right? So that's us. Okay. We're all sitting here, wherever you are, those in the hall, those at home, we're all sitting here listening to the Dharma. You are all the clear original nature. Not one of you is obstructed. You can all penetrate the 10 directions. right? You can roam freely in the three realms. Each one of you can freely enter every realm without obstruction. Each one can, in the blink of an eyelid, penetrate all the Dharma realms. If you meet the Buddha, you speak to the Buddha. If you meet the Master, you speak to the Master. If you meet an Arhat, you speak to an Arhat. If you meet a hungry ghost, you speak to a hungry ghost. You can enjoy traveling in every land, teaching living beings, and not seeing for one moment that you are not at home. Everywhere is pure, the light of clarity illumines the 10 directions, and you see the oneness of all that is. How does that sound? Anybody up for that? He says it's right here. Now he's not talking about our physical bodies. He's talking about our minds. Our mind, the open awareness of our minds. It can roam anywhere. You can pick up any book. You can think, let's all think about, what do we want to think about? Let's think about flying to the moon. Let's all think about it. We'll just fly to the moon. Okay, so we take a stop, maybe see what's going on in Africa. Come down there. We just move through realms. Right? Somebody puts on hip-hop music, or is that already passed? They still talk about hip-hop music? I didn't even know what it is, but I sort of, they put on hip-hop music, your ears just what? Your awareness just hears hip-hop music. Puts on classical music, your mind just hears classical music. Your mind has no problem. Puts on the blues, it listens to the blues. Puts on jazz, listens to the jazz. It flows in any direction you want. Put on any channel on TV, right? Your mind awareness will watch it, listen to it, hear it. Does it have any trouble? No. Our thinking mind will give us all kinds of trouble, right? I don't like that, I like that. This is boring, this is noisy. Right? That's our thinking mind. It's endlessly putting up roadblocks. But our fundamental mind awareness, it'll flow anywhere. We can go anywhere and be at home. Right? You go to a foreign country, different culture, different things. All right. You pick up some chopsticks, try to figure it out. Everybody else is doing it. You see people eating these kind of foods, you go, all right. Your tongue has no problem eating, does it? No. It's the mind that'll go, I don't like that. I was trying to explain this to my 11-year-old grandson the other day. He has lots of likes and dislikes in food. I said, your tongue doesn't have any problem with this food. I was asking him, what is it that has these likes and dislikes? He was interested in it. I don't think he quite got it. But, it's like, the tongue has no problem. Tongue can eat anything. Right? I used to write, you take your tongue to Lithuania and you eat, tongue will be okay, right? Take it down to Chile and your tongue will be okay, right? Anybody else, different culture, different, country, just take it. England, tongue have a problem? No. But our conditioned mind might go, I don't like that, right? Not for me. But the quality of taste has no problem. Our true mind has no problem with anything. It's totally open to everything, accepts everything. It's our mind that goes, no, I like this, I don't like this should be, this shouldn't be. This is good, this is bad, this is wanted, unwanted. You can enjoy traveling and everything is pure. If you wish to roam in birth and death as a free person. So birth and death, again, is just another word for, the life we live, right? We are born and we die. Everybody we know is born and die. And whether, but the world of birth and death can be seen many ways. And sort of, every day we wake up and we're born. Every night we die, right? We could also go every thought, every moment we're giving birth to a new moment, a new thought, a new feeling, new perception. And then it dies, and a new one comes up. So this world of endless change, this is the world of birth and death. Now most of us, we wander in the world of birth and death not very happily. So he says, if you wish to roam in birth and death as a free person, you should recognize who it is who is listening to the Dharma here. So this is, although that person has no form, no distinguishing sign, no basis, no origin, no place of abode, he or she is a living, infinitely active, able to display. Okay. So often I have people when they're in a retreat, just close your eyes. So he's saying the same thing. I say, go stand in front of a mirror. Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror, and you look in the mirror, and what do you see? Right? You see a form, a body, right? With its distinguishing characteristics. And you see yourself. Oh, that's Fred. Right? And you could endlessly describe all his characteristics. His sex, his gender, his age, his, all kinds of characteristics. His color, his skin, his hair, right? Okay? That's the world of characteristics. But if I said to you, the one who is looking out through the eyes, the one that sees the form in the mirror, the shape in the mirror, the you that everyone sees, the external, the one who's looking out, if you look directly at that, what is the shape? Does that look like you? The one who's looking out, what is that? Does that have any shape, color? Is that male or female or anything else? Is that of a certain age? That which is seeing, looking at the image in the mirror, looking at all the characteristics. What is that? Does that have any beginning or any end? Just close your eyes and look. You looked in the mirror and you saw all the characteristics of what you think is you. But yet there's somebody who's looking at that, who's noting all those characteristics. But when you look directly at that, does that have any characteristics? Does that look like you? Because that must be the real you, because it's looking at that. In the same way he says right now, you should if you wish to roam in birth and death as a free person, you should recognize who it is who is listening to the Dharma here right now. So again, if you're just listening to these words, and if you ask yourself, does this which is listening have any form, have any shape, have any color, have any size, have any beginning or end, that which is listening? And you'd have to say, I can't find anything. And yet there's listening. But whatever's listening is not the me that I see in the mirror. Because you have a different experience of it when you're just listening, when you're just seeing. So that becomes the key. What is it that sees and hears and smells and tastes and feels? It doesn't seem to have any form or shape. Is this what he means by a true person of no rank, no position, no definition? that person has no form, no distinguishing sign, no basis, no origin, no place of abode. He or she is a living, infinitely active, and able to display tens of thousands of wonderful functions. And all of these functions have the nature of non-abiding, meaning which you can't find them anywhere. They're just here. If you listen to me, if I said, well, can you find hearing? Just close your eyes and look, as I'm talking, look, can you find where hearing abides? Just as listening. I mean, and don't think it, just actually, where are you hearing? Where do you hear these sounds? And you have to say, it doesn't abide anywhere, and yet there's hearing. I mean, does it really feel like it's abiding in the ear, the left ear, the right ear? The same way to seeing, experience it like it abides in the eyes? No, it just is. This is the wondrousness. He calls it, this is the wonderful mystery. You look and you look and you look and you can't find it. This is the mystery, and yet it's here, without us doing anything. This is its marvelous functions. My friends, do not identify yourself with this illusory friend, the body, because sooner or later it has to be returned to the hands of that demon impermanence. He says, in this world, what is it that you need to turn toward in order to find liberation? He says, all you need is a bowl of brown rice, a mantle of cloth, and apart from this, you should give all your psychological force and time to finding a good spiritual friend, which is, he means a teacher. Do not waste your days and hours following pleasure. Time is precious, life is impermanent. So he encourages us to not waste our time in this life. Master Linji is a master. Friends, young monks and nuns have to study and practice. When young, I devoted myself to studying the Vinaya, which is, the Vinaya is all the rules and regulations of the monks and the ethics and fine manners, how to deport yourself, very much part of monastic training. I researched, sought to understand, consulted countless sutras, the teachings of the Buddhas and commentaries. After a while, I realized that these were just expedients to help people, presented in theoretical terms. So once and for all, I threw them all away in order to go and consult great teachers and practice meditation. Fortunately, I met superior spiritual friends, so I had my eyes of the Dharma opened, which allowed me to see clearly and recognize the great teachers on this earth and those who were fake. This insight was not with me from the time my mother gave me birth, but came about through polishing, refining, training, experience, and investigation, and one day then I broke through to the truth. So he's giving a little personal experience, right? But he was a monk, he studied, he did all the things that a good monk did, and eventually he realized it was not giving him the experience. He then sought a spiritual master, he devoted himself to meditation, was able to, right. And he says it also allowed him to have discernment. He could tell the authentic from the fake, the true from the false. And he said, but this is not, when he said this is not knowledge my mother gave me, he meant I wasn't born with this. He said, I got this through trial and error, through polishing, refining, training, experience, and investigation. And then one day I was able to break through to the truth. My friends, if you wish to have correct insight into the truth, do not allow others to deceive you. Be discerning. Do not allow things to bind you. Try to be free and at ease. Friends, the truth is hard to discover. The Buddha Dharma is very deep and mysterious. Nevertheless, we can go into this territory in order to attain insight. Day after day, I sit here teaching and giving. This is interesting how he defines what he does. Day after day, I sit here teaching and giving beatings. And hardly anyone in my group of students is inclined to take much notice. Poor guy. He works so hard, right? And he says, they just come in, they kind of enjoy me, but they don't take much notice. 1,000 times, 10,000 times, they keep treading in dark places. He's talking about all the students of the day. Unable to recognize anything independently with clarity and distinction. Because they lack the virtue of self-confidence, they keep looking for something outside themselves. Half their life has gone, and still they rely on someone else and keep carrying around their corpse, it's their body, like a heavy burden as they move around in this world. There are students, when they hear me say there's nothing outside for them to seek, misunderstand. And now they begin to look for something within. You see, like there's a thing, there's got to be a thing, and there's not a thing out there's got to be a thing. They sit immovable in meditation, face turned to the wall, their toes glued to the roof of their mouths. They say, this is the Dharma taught by the Buddha. What a great mistake. So then he's really going on to say, again, it's not that sitting is not helpful, but he's saying it's not found in stillness, it's not found in movement, it's not found in inactivity, it's not found in activity. This true mind of ours can flow everywhere and anywhere. It's not bound. So he's telling us that our inquiry into the true nature of our mind, is not something that's just in the meditation posture. We can do it anywhere and everywhere. So let me stop now. I can see the time is getting on. Master Linji. So again, in this book, Zen Battles, I'm just sort of doing my own commentary and reading from the front, but in it, Thich Nhat Hanh has commentary. Most of the book is his commentary on some of the same teachings that I've been sharing with you. So questions or comments? People online, please raise your hand, and Denise will call upon you. There's a little thing down the bottom to raise your hand. People in the hall, David has access to, or Tracy, one of the two of you. So any questions or comments from listening to Master Linji? Everybody's all excited and revved up. Everybody's ready to fall asleep. I don't know. What do his words mean? What do Linji's words mean? Yes, Maria.
Yes. I kind of think I get it, what he has, like, kind of captured the purity of the purity of the information that they come from our sense that try to...
So don't make it complicated. You see what's going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I try to use my intellect.
Yeah. Just this, right? Just you talking,
mm-hmm.
right? This is pure. You're just talking.
Yes.
I'm just listening. There's no static here, is there?
Mm-mm.
You see how this just flows?
I'm much more relaxed.
Yeah. But you see, this is what we're talking about. It's just, yeah, just let the natural functioning. You know, like another point he says, yeah, eat when you're hungry, sleep when you're tired. I mean, that's what it means. You know, just let your natural. You see how easy this is? This is the purity. You know, we think purity, oh, Snow White. Snow White, right? You know, purity. No, but purity means no contamination. Right? So this is purity. There's no static, there's no problems, there's no issues. You speak naturally. I listen without any effort at all. Did everybody notice? Did you really have to work at listening? Get those ears turned around and get directionals, going. No, we just hear. Just spontaneous. No, there's no actual barriers. You know, the words and the hearing are one. They just occur together, one big whole experience. This is purity.
Yes.
You think you can live like this?
Honestly?
Well, see,
Of course, yeah,
even if
it's
you-
ideal. It's an ideal.
so you
but
don't have confidence that you can.
I can observe my mind when I am at home, and that's why I don't feel I can do Zoom things because there are too much interference. Things trigger. All over sounds when I am at home, and the minds go interpret what's going on outside. It's
So how do you deal with that? That's the problem. It's everything. It keeps. So we have to be mindful and live in the present, and more just keep bringing the mind back and noticing what's going on, and giving ourselves more and more moments of freedom. And all of a sudden you just relax. You let go. Right?
That's beautiful because I start the conversation with some tension.
Yeah. Because you care about what other people think of you, or what you're going to say, or how you're going to appear to other people. I mean, this is because we lack confidence.
Yes, if the teacher will understand me, what I try to say,
What do you care if he understands you?
Thank you.
The important thing is that you understand yourself. That's what's important. And even if you understand that he doesn't understand you, that's your understanding. That's okay. Tomorrow's not going to make any difference whether I understood you tonight, is it? No. And yet we get caught up in these things like they matter. The important thing is that you understand yourself. You trust yourself.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's really what's most important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Anybody else? Any questions or comments on the teachings of Master Linji? Tracy, anything? Anything, Tracy? Everything clear? Oh, Mitch.
We have Mitch.
Mitch, you got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Let them undo the participants, uncheck the box.
Well, we can see you, Mitch. Can you hear me? Can you speak?
The host hasn't. He said the host hasn't.
Has the host unmuted yet? Do you think you can act out your question, Mitch? Just hold on. We're trying to get some technical expertise going here.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Thank you, people. All right, Mitch, yes.
So, Fred, could you speak to this issue of confidence a little more for those of us who are on the path with full commitment, and at it for a while, for years, and you're humming along. You're
What?
doing well. You're humming along, doing well
Humming along.
with the practice, but then situation arises where old habit energy comes up, and maybe you're not as skillful in a way that you want to be. And then you get frustrated with yourself. So is that lacking
Get
confidence?
frustrated.
If we get frustrated, or like, damn, I've been at this for so long. Why would this situation come up, or why would I handle it this way? Is that what Linji would refer to as a lack of confidence, or is that just walking the path?
Again, well, again, I think a lack of confidence also means you doubt yourself. I mean, in
Right.
that moment, you're doubting yourself. You're saying, oh, I really must not be that good a practitioner, or why, rather than just having confidence. Okay. I think you told me before you had your injuries, or whatever happened to you, you used to enjoy playing sports.
Right.
What was the sport you enjoyed playing?
I'd like to ski.
You liked to ski. Were you always perfect at skiing?
No,
Did you ever, I don't know,
I would fall
you
sometimes
would fall sometimes, and when you fell, did you all of a sudden start going, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm really a terrible skier. I shouldn't be falling now. And just kind of go into a little bit of a, crisis around that. Is that what would happen?
Not at all.
What did you do?
Got back on the ski lift.
Because you had confidence
Right.
in your own ability and your own ability to deal with whatever happened, even taking a fall and a spill. You see what I'm saying? So I'm using a word to say, oh, you had confidence in your own capacity to walk that path of skiing, right? With self-assuredness and confidence and trust in yourself, that you would respond to any situation, even ones that were happening that, you weren't expecting to happen, like falling down. So it's like that, you see. It's like you have confidence in yourself. I think if you have confidence in yourself, you can be willing to admit you made a mistake, yeah. So you don't, because it sounds like you get into then is doubt. Remember, doubt, he says, that's the one, because where does doubt take you? When you start going into, well, maybe I'm really not that good a practitioner, or I shouldn't be doing like this, or, so doubting yourself.
Magic show heats up.
Yeah, the magic show heats up. And you forget it's a magic show. You start thinking this stuff is real. Now, again, it doesn't mean that I think that's a lot of times we think that to be somehow, and this is not the right word, but to be kind of, to self-assess or be self-critical in a good way. I mean, so if you fall down, right, in the skiing, there's nothing wrong with kind of spending a moment to go, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe I was going too fast, or maybe I was, you know what I'm saying? You just did a quick assessment,
I shouldn't have been on the double black diamond.
right, or something. You know what I'm saying? But even for you to be able to assess that is that you have confidence in your ability, to change, to moderate, to make shifts and changes. That all comes from, because you're confident in you're confident in yourself, you know yourself. There's no drama. Is that helpful, Mitch?
Yeah, just get back up and get back on. Right.
And again, if you see yourself falling into old patterns or something, you just step back and go, what's going on? Just the same way, just what's going on.
Yeah.
You're kind of in touch with yourself, and you investigate, you examine, and that's also how you develop confidence. I can understand my own mind. I can understand myself. I'm willing to be present to all parts of me and acknowledge them.
Yeah, it's a good distinction.
Right.
That's confidence.
Yeah, and it's just good to, the more we can feel we've stepped into the driver's seat of our car, right? Our car being the metaphor for our life. I'm in the driver's seat. I got my hands on the wheel. I got my foot on the gas and the brake. I take it where I want it to go. The car doesn't take me. I take the car where I want to go, and I move the direction I want to go, and I make the turns as needed, and right? If you think about driving, every time we drive, it's a challenge, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? Because there's all kinds of stuff going out there, isn't? If you think about it, right? People are shifting around, and people are stopping and starting, and there's lane changes, and speed changes, and then somebody comes cutting you. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of stuff, and yet, if you don't have confidence. And most of us, we have confidence. So we navigate. We're not nervous Nellies. We have confidence and we just navigate. But if you think about what we're navigating when you're driving, especially if you get onto a lot of roads or busier roads or 275 or 75, you go, wow, there's a lot going on out here. Confidence.
And concentration.
And concentration, yeah. And awareness, you know what's a safe way to drive, what it's not safe way to drive, you know what I mean? So you can relax, you see. If you don't have confidence, some people, drive very nervous. They grip the wheel tight, they're nervous, they're anticipating, but if you have confidence, you can be in the same situation, but there's much more ease. And that's the way we want to be in life, just deal. I can deal with whatever comes my way. Just have confidence in my abilities.
Thank you, Fred. Very helpful.
I think we were supposed to end at what? Were we supposed to end at 8? Yeah, must be getting near David's bedtime, right, David? Way past it already. So anyhow, thank you all. I hope this has been beneficial, and just giving us a little taste of our noble ancestor, Linji. Again, even though he lived in such a different culture and time, historical era, the fundamentals of us as human beings and how we function in this practice is really the same. So thank you all. Let me just share the merit. Whatever benefit may have come to us this evening from listening to and sharing about the teachings of Master Linji, may they be shared equally with all whom we encounter, whether near or far away, and may their effects ripple continuously to aid in the healing, transformation of the world. Thank you, everyone. The morning meditations. Tomorrow, David's doing Qigong live here in the hall. Thursday night, extended meditation. I think Friday is wake up. Saturday is a half day with Betsy, Arizu. Sunday, who's giving the Dharma talk? John is giving the Dharma talk on Sunday. So thank you, everyone.